The right-wing civil war is here. Now, this is super important for literally the future of the country. So I did a metric F-ton of research, all right? Before we dive into this, I didn't see the Ben Shapiro video yet. People told me I needed to react to that, so we're going to watch Ben Shapiro attacking them. I need to give you the lore. We got to talk about everything. But first, allow me to introduce the three main characters of this lore, all right? All right, so this is super important. All right, so as you can see, we have Saruman, also known as Tucker Carlson. We have Sauron, also known as Gay Mexican Hitler. And we have Smeagol, also known as Queero Shapiro. The ultimate battle of wits. No one has seen this coming, but to be honest, this is the civil war the right wing needed today. All right, now I have incredibly intense opinions about all of these characters, all right? Grima Wormtongue. Bro, no, that's me. I'm Grima Worm. What are you talking about? Anyway, so these are the three main characters, all right? It's important to know the lore for what we're discussing before we dive too deep into it, all right? It's super important, and now we are gonna break this all apart for you in pieces. Now, before we do too deep of a dive into it, I wanted to say, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You were the dam holding back the insanity that attacked the right wing in America. All right? I'm going to tell you my opinion. My opinion is the right wing needs to worry about the economy, needs to worry about the fact that abortion is killing 1 million babies a year in America. I think the right wing in America needs to worry about, getting every illegal away. That's my opinion. All right? You know what my opinion the right wing shouldn't be doing? Nitpicking each other about a country the size of New Jersey in the Middle East. All right? Anyone that's radical pro-Israel that thinks that everything that America needs to do needs to bow to Israel, I think those guys are wrong. Anyone that's saying that everyone in America needs to be super anti-Israel, the Jews are all evil, secretly controlling the government, I think you're also wrong. I think the radicals on both sides of this are wrong. And we need a middle path, which is we're an ally of Israel. We definitely gain from this alliance. We do. We don't gain everything from this alliance. We shouldn't need to give foreign aid to everyone forever. That's my stance. Now, anyway, we have to see exactly what we are talking about here today. Now, first, let me introduce Tucker Carlson, because he's kind of the linchpin of this entire situation. Ex-Fox News host, started his own show, got super popular, but he has been falling off lately. He has been falling off a lot, like a tremendous amount. So, this is Tucker Carlson supporting Sharia law.
Well, you should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this.
With slaves, for the record, with literal slaves.
Rate of 0.
Because nothing's considered.
Where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so obviously, pro-Sharia law, not exactly my opinion, but inshallah, Carson over here has a different take. So this is him supporting the Maduro regime in Venezuela. We're going to be talking about that a little later.
So the question is why? Why are we doing this? Why are we so opposed to Nicolas Maduro? So if you ask someone on the street, random person, why are we against Nicolas Maduro? The answer:
he's a communist that killed thousands and also is flooding our country with drugs and illegals.
You're going to get is who's Nicolas Maduro. But if you find someone in South Florida, for example, who knows who Nicolas Maduro is, who can identify where Venezuela is on a map, that person will almost certainly say, well, because he's a communist or a socialist, he's exceedingly left-wing, and that is true.
That is true.
Nicolas Maduro and his government are very left-wing on economics.
Right.
Not on
they also execute people in the streets for disagreeing with them. He's a tyrant.
Social policy, by the way, which is kind of interesting. In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned.
Yes, they are flooding our country with illegals and with drugs. But but hey, at least he banned sex changes in Venezuela, which is definitely nice. But,
it's one of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is
like, this is the argument that's like, well, yeah, Hitler did cause a world war that killed 100 million people and, killed 6 million Jews. But, I mean, Hitler was anti-abortion. It's like, bro, huh? Like, wow, okay. Anyway, you could pinpoint to the moment where Tucker Carlson's opinions on everything changed, and it's wild. So this is 2006 regarding what his opinion is on Iran.
I'm just struck by that in everything you see come from the government of Iran, there is anti-Semitism, which has got to be among the most off-putting things in the Western world. You know, I think what you say is you either stop your nuclear program or we will bring down an earthquake upon you using God's wrath. I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil.
Netanyahu.
Right, so that's what he used to say. 2006, 2012, Iran, lunatics, gotta destroy them, they can't have a nuke.
Says, no, we need to bomb the hell out of them. We need to defeat them like we defeated Saddam and Assad and Gaddafi. We need to take out this evil regime. That's his line.
So it's not about nukes, what you're saying. You're saying it's not about nukes, it's about regime change.
I think for sure.
Ex-Fox News host blasts complicit president for backing Israel after attacks in Iran.
So what happened to this guy? Why the change? Why the change? So I think Ben Shapiro definitely puts Israel ahead of America very often. He does. I think Nick Fuentes, I think he was lost in the sauce with the anti-Israel stuff, but I do think he actually does try his best to fight for America, or at least the really, in my opinion, perverted worldview that he has in regards to Jews and America. But I do respect that to some extent. That, you know, he's, in my opinion, at least trying, sort of. I think Tucker Carlson's bought. I think this guy's like an actual fraud. That's the difference. Like, you know, what are we even talking about? So this is Tucker Carlson talking about Israel as an ally versus Qatar as an ally.
America's supporting Israel because it's an ally.
I don't even know what those words mean. I'm just saying my principle
they're
is
an ally, right? I mean, they both.
I don't know what that means to be an ally.
Qatar is like one of our closest allies in the world. The largest American air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. They're a close ally of ours.
So, Israel is an ally. An ally? I don't even know. I don't even know what an ally means. I don't even know what an ally means. Wow. Qatar is our closest ally of all time. Yeah, they funnel billions of dollars into our school systems. All right. Anyway, this is Tucker Carlson on a show where his guest basically says we have the wrong story about World War II and we should have sided with Hitler.
And it started when I read a book by Diana West, who would be good if you interviewed her. And it's this all revisionist history of World War II. And you go, well, why would you want to read that? Well, it turns out I think the story we got about World War II is all wrong, actually.
I think that's right.
And
I think that's right, says Tucker Carlson.
And I read about FDR, and FDR's right-hand man was a Soviet spy.
Certainly was.
Right.
Anyway, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but he essentially says they got the wrong story in World War II. We should have sided with Hitler against the communists.
Right? And therefore,
confirmed.
We should have been, one can make the argument we should have sided with Hitler and fought Stalin.
Huh?
Patton said that. So, and maybe there wouldn't have been a Holocaust, right? You know, but Stalin was awful by any metric.
Maybe there would have been a Holocaust.
And we weren't his ally. The story is that there were a few missing Americans.
Anyway, he keeps going. You don't need to see that. The point that I'm trying to make is there's way too many of these. All right, so Hamas, terrorist organization that rapes and murders people. So this is him saying that they're not a terrorist organization.
No one can plausibly claim that a Christian family are in Hamas. Okay, so like what, tell me, you can't claim that they're in Hamas while simultaneously claiming that Hamas is group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists.
They literally are Islamic extremists.
Which they also claim constantly, which I don't know if that's true, by the way.
You don't know if it's true that Hamas are Islamic extremists. They literally say, they have videos of themselves saying, we will kill the Jews, and then we will kill the Christians, and then we will conquer the world. They post videos themselves saying that.
Seems more like a political organization, but whatever it is, they're
political organization. Bro, what are we talking about? They murder their own people. They starve their own people. Like, what?
Telling us constantly they're Al-Qaeda. So it can't also be true that Christians are a member of Al-Qaeda. Sorry.
Yeah.
So then we know they're not in Hamas. So why did they get killed? Why was their church blown? No one.
Because tragically, there's collateral damage in war. Because it's a war. I don't know why this is like controversial or anything. It's insane. So I wanted to just show you some of these clips. All right, so this is him saying that Putin is a great guy.
He's the most popular leader in the world, by the way, by far. I mean, if you travel,
Кстати, он самый популярный лидер в мире с большим отрывом. Путешествуете, вы знаете, допустим, вы находитесь в Западной Европе, в Канаде, в англоязычном мире, за пределами англоязычного мира, в Азии, на Ближнем Востоке.
Okay, I don't know why the fuck this is like translated and whatever. But bro's sitting here talking about how Putin's the GOAT. Now, I just wanted to show you a few of these clips because while I do believe that Nick Fuentes is genuine, all right, I do think he's genuine. I'm not saying that I agree with everything he says, just like I don't agree with everything Ben Shapiro says. I do think that he's genuine and honest to some extent. I think Tucker Carlson's a complete and utter fraud. This dude is a complete and utter fraud. He supports every bad guy on the planet. It's absolutely diabolical. Now, let me introduce you to Tucker Carlson's guests. So I'm just going to scroll because he had Nick Fuentes on his show a few days ago. But first we have to go in order. So 15 hours ago, he released an entire episode of his podcast with Chris Williamson. Now, you probably don't know who Chris Williamson is, so let me introduce you. Chris Williamson, this guy is a British guy who is known for his left-wing activism and vocal criticism of Israel. So you're telling me Tucker Carlson, the right-wing guy, right-wing Tucker Carlson, is getting a random British left-wing anti-Israel activist on his show? What's your goal here, Tucker? What's going on? All right. 2019, Labor suspended him an expulsion over anti-Semitism allegations. Hate crime probe over Israel comments. Well, he lost his pass due to Iranian state media ties. Bro! This dude was an Iranian agent, seemingly, and they ended up getting rid of him. All right, let's see. Who else did he have on the show? All right, so before Chris Williamson, interesting, a radical leftist, he had George Santos. All right, so who was George Santos? George Santos had a fabricated resume and personal history, campaign finance fraud, donor exploitation, theft of public funds and identity theft, animal cruelty and charity fraud, international check fraud case, expulsion from Congress and criminal conviction. All right, so that's George Santos. Let's see, who did he have on before George Santos? Before George Santos, it was talking about Maduro, the regime in Venezuela, which, as we know, is someone that did extrajudicial killings and mass executions of 19,000 people, torture and sexual violence, arbitrary detentions, repression of protests. Obviously, he's a radical communist. Who did he have before that? Nick Fuentes. I don't understand what's going on. This dude is not pro-America either. He's pro whatever agenda he's pushing, and it's insane. So this dude did a show with Nick Fuentes. It got 17 million views, 100,000 likes. Massive show. Now, he got a lot of criticism for this, obviously, because Nick Fuentes is an incredibly controversial figure. But I am going to tell you an opinion that you probably are not going to like. I think interviewing Nick Fuentes is actually perfectly and utterly fine. He is a right-wing guy. He's in America. You have every right to talk to him. He should not be shunned into the corners of society that no one's allowed to talk to him, infinitely canceled. I believe discussions need to be out in the open. I think that you should be talking to this guy. That said, you push back on his views. In my opinion, when Nick Fuentes on this show said that he's a big fan of Stalin, and he just kind of ignores that, that's insane. When Nick Fuentes has infinite clips talking about how he glazes Hitler, and then Tucker Carlson doesn't even bring that up, I think that's insane. So while I do think you absolutely have every right to interview whoever you want, all right? Like, I don't believe in this whole reputation laundering thing. All right? So, again, this isn't me calling for, the cancellation of Tucker Carlson. This is just, this is insane. It's crazy. So he got a massive amount of pushback from largely conservatives that don't really want the Nick Fuentes type people in the movement. I'm really not a fan of labels. I think everyone is a multifaceted individual. I think that some people that support Nick Fuentes support a lot of his views, but don't support some of his other views. And there are some people that, are just honestly trying to gatekeep in a way that will force you to continue infinitely losing elections. So it's a really, really interesting dynamic. Tucker Carlson also did a softball interview with Putin. The difference is Putin is a dictator, all right? So if you do a softball interview with Putin, he'll be like, all right, that dude's a dictator, all right? You don't want some KGB guy to shove something up your ass later, all right? Let's make this clear, all right? Nick Fuentes, not a dictator. Nick Fuentes is a kid from Chicago, all right? You've got to be kidding me. You're insane. Come on, dude. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Tucker Carlson apparently had these texts that were leaked where he said, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait." In 2021, this is after Trump allegedly lost the election. "I want nothing more. It does feel very close. I imagine things will get nice around mid-February. I hate him passionately. I blew up at Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of this." And it really seems like behind the scenes, Tucker Carlson absolutely despises Trump. And he'll go out there and he'll make believe he's a pro-Trump guy, but it really seems like he despises Trump. And in my opinion, it's because, well, Trump is a pretty pro-Israel fellow. Like, it's painful to watch Tucker Carlson clips. It really is.
I think
so did JD. Yeah, but JD hated Trump before Trump was president the first time. Tucker Carlson hated Trump after Trump was the president for 4 years. Big difference. So anyway, and also another difference is Tucker Carlson publicly he makes believe he's buddies with him. Publicly he's like, "I love Trump. What are you talking about?" So anyway, this is 2024.
I think U.S. aid, military aid to Israel, and the implied security guarantees, some explicit, but many implied security guarantees of the United States to Israel probably haven't helped Israel that much long term. You know, it's a rich country with a highly capable population. Like every other country, it's probably best if it makes its decisions based on what it can do by itself.
Right. So Israel doesn't need Israel doesn't really need America. Like, they could manage themselves. That's what he said in 2024. Anyway,
Israel cannot exist without being propped up by the United States.
Wow.
Its nuclear program came from the United States. Its weapons come from the United States. Its economy is supported by the United States.
That country couldn't exist without, not for a week, without U.S. backing. I think
it's crazy. He flip-flops on all of these things. It's diabolical. And yes, his dad was apparently a CIA agent. So anyway, this is Tucker Carlson. This is where we're at. All right. I think it's important to understand where we're at with Tucker Carlson. So, you know, Nick Fuentes, he's consistent. He's consistently said he likes Stalin. Every single time they ask him about Stalin, he'll say he likes Stalin. He'll say, yeah, maybe he was evil, but he was a great man of history. All right, that's Nick Fuentes' response. All right, so consistent. Maybe retarded, but consistent. This guy's a complete fraud. Anyway, moving on, Matt Walsh made a tweet, and this is the correct tweet. This is the correct stance. That's why I included this. "We have a very short window of time where we control Congress and the White House and have the power to push our agenda forward. We're going to waste this window fighting with each other. We're going to squander everything. I'm furious, honestly." And this is the correct stance. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge it, but this is absolutely the correct opinion. And really, it is. This is just the right opinion. Realistically, I think people are either radically pro-Israel or radically anti-Israel, and really no one's talking about the important parts of America. You know, getting rid of illegals, you know, saving our country from this infinite voter fraud that the Democrats have been pushing, importing voters, you know, and all this shit. It's disgusting. It really is. And we're wasting our time fighting with each other over, honestly, a country that, A, isn't controlling us, because that's retarded, all right? You remember Trump? They don't know what the fuck they're doing, all right? Trump, the greatest line of all time. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? Talking about Israel and Iran. Insane, man. Insane. I don't know, man. Michael Knowles says, "Tomorrow, conservatives have the opportunity to stop a Muslim communist in New York, elect a Republican in New Jersey, and end the political career of would-be attorney general who wants to murder us and our children in Virginia, yet scarcely a peep about it on X, because everyone's too busy talking about this." Israel is being used by whoever as the wedge that is driving us apart, and it's insane. If Israel does destroy the West, all right, it will be the fault of the radical anti-Israel guys just as much as the radical pro-Israel guys. So anyway, Cenk Uygur, I included this tweet also because I think that this is a litmus test. So Cenk Uygur, for those of you that are unaware, is a radical left-wing communist, a radical left-wing socialist communist guy that is radical pro-Islam everywhere. And this is what he says, and this is diabolical. Pro-Israel forces are trying to force out Tucker Carlson from MAGA. Bro, you called every person that voted for Trump a fascist. Cenk Uygur has a video on his YouTube channel with millions of subscribers. Everyone that voted for Trump is a fascist. And now he's like, pro-Israel forces are trying to force out Tucker Carlson from MAGA. They're also going after others like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. Ben Shapiro attacked Tucker today. So it's deciding time, MAGA. America first or Israel first? The establishment is demanding you pick Israel. This guy does not care about the right wing in America. He doesn't care about MAGA. He doesn't care about America, frankly. He is using this. You have to recognize where the foreign agents are. He is using this to push his agenda of total Western civilization destruction. And it's insane how obvious it is. It's insane. This guy, this is Hassan Piker's uncle. Radically anti-Christian, anti-right-wing guy. And yet, of course, he's going to back Tucker because Tucker's anti-Israel. And in fact, Cenk Uyghur's entire plan is the pro-Islam agenda of destroy Israel, then destroy the West, which they state. They literally say it themselves. This isn't like me putting words in their mouths. So obviously, he is going to focus on the guys that are fracturing the... Like, is this not insane? Is this not absolute diabolical insanity? Like, oh my God, you know you're on the wrong side of history when this dude's cheering on the Civil War. So this was... To be clear, I saw this about how Ben Shapiro is attacking Tucker and Nick Fuentes, whatever. Ben Shapiro didn't attack anybody. All right, I didn't watch his video yet. Maybe he did. But Ben Shapiro responded. They have been attacking Ben Shapiro for years, realistically. I think Ben Shapiro probably gets the most hate of any figure online that I know. And I do feel bad for him for it. He gets death threats every single day that I see. And I'm not Ben Shapiro. All right? And now look how insane this is.
Goblin. What about Israel?
Not like outstanding.
What about Israel?
But again,
why did he talk about Israel? Why didn't, excuse me, why didn't Trump talk about Israel more?
This is daily Nick Fuentes content. Is it funny? Perhaps. Not the point, though. The point is they attack Ben Shapiro every single day. Every day. Right? This is Tucker Carlson, saying that we should have never bombed Japan. And we should have just non-violently forced them to surrender, which is the most retarded stance I've ever heard in my life. And then accusing Ben Shapiro of supporting infinite slaughter and genocide.
We don't have a right to kill people. We do not have a right to kill the innocent, period. Because we're not God. And that's the dividing line between me and Ben Shapiro. And that's why when I said, Hiroshima, of course I'm for forcing Imperial Japan to stop doing what it's doing, make them apologize. I'm for beating them. I am.
How do you beat them? How do you beat them if it's not by attacking them where no innocent people die? Like, dude, you are literally... these people are talking like fairy tales and hobgoblins. Like, we're not even living in reality. How are you going to beat them non-violently with no innocent people dying?
But I'm not for incinerating tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of their civilians because the civilians didn't do anything wrong. And
True, that's really sad. But if you think about it from this perspective, if we wouldn't have nuked Japan, not trying to be controversial here, if we wouldn't have nuked Japan, who knows how many hundreds of thousands of people would have died on both sides in endless war over a decade? Like, what are we talking about?
I don't think we're allowed to kill the innocent. So I say that on Rogan. And Ben Shapiro's like, Holocaust denier, or whatever, something, one of these meaningless phrases that mean Nazi. Bad.
Right. So anyway, and then he blames Ben Shapiro being pro infinite murder.
Killing the right people? Like, ugh, I wouldn't want to be that man. And I mean.
Anyway, so the point is, this is insanity. Like, it's crazy that we're looking at this. And this isn't me calling for any controversial cancellation or anything. I believe everyone has the right to speak, which is why I support the Nick Fuentes interview. I just wish Tucker Carlson would have been a little more... serious about discussing things. So Ben Shapiro makes this tweet. No to the Groypers, no to cowards like Tucker Carlson who normalize their trash, no to those who champion them, no to demoralization, no to bigotry, anti-meritocratic horseshit, no to anti-Americanism, no. And he releases this video, 40 minutes long. It has 18 million views, which is diabolical. 18 million views. That's a lot of views. Nick Fuentes responds, no to Ben Shapiro, no to the neocons, no to dual citizens, no to Benjamin Netanyahu, no to cancel culture. Bro, you've got to stop yelling about cancel culture. You've got to stop. Like, what are we doing? Yes, cancel culture was a thing. Nick Fuentes got mega canceled and deplatformed everywhere. And that I disagree with that. I think that opinions need to be discussed, not stifled. So I don't agree with that. But this is crazy. No to the genocide, ethnic cleansing. No to the Christ-hating Talmud. No to greater Israel. No to Jewish oligarchy. What the fuck? What are we doing? What is this controversy, man? What are you even arguing about? None of this is pro-America. None of it. Oh my god, dude. This is wild. So anyway, they beefing. They obviously beefing big time. This is wild. So now let me be clear, all right? So all these things are no's, right? No to all of these things, obviously. No to dual citizens. It's like, what are we even talking about? And also, cancel culture is like, we've got to stop using this cancel culture thing. Saying that Ben Shapiro is trying to cancel you is not a stance anymore, right? Everyone's trying to cancel each other. They're criticizing each other. Just like freedom of speech allows you to speak, freedom of speech allows you to get criticized. And I believe in that in all areas. That's why I think you have the right to criticize Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro has every right to criticize you. I'm a very simple man in that regard. But anyway, so no to all these things, says Nick Fuentes. But yes to Destiny. That's right. I don't even know how we're doing this. Destiny is a pro-Israel, leftist, anti-Christian, anti-American, pro-abortion, pro-homosexual, everything. All right? What are we doing? So anyway, this is a clip of Nick Fuentes and Destiny hanging out.
Okay. Why are you hanging out with children? Well, they're hotter. Based. Let's fucking go. That's why we love him. That's why we love this guy.
Yeah, because apparently children are hotter. Now, realistically, this is crazy, bro. This is insane. No to all these things, bro. This dude, Destiny is literally a pro-Israel radical leftist that wants to kill conservatives. He's not Jewish. That's why he likes him. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying that that's why he likes him. Destiny, not Jewish. Pro-Israel, not Jewish. Nick is trolling him. Bro, they did tons of streams together. You're coping, my friend. So anyway, Nick Fuentes responds by basically saying that Ben Shapiro did a highlight reel of all of his best hits.
But today, it was a clip show. Today, it was like a full-fledged Fuentes Updates clip show. It was like America's Funniest Videos. One clip after the 40 minutes, no ads. That's how you know they mean business.
True. Honestly, he's not even wrong. A Jew not putting ads in videos is diabolical.
When Ben Shapiro turns down the money from the advertisers, when Ben Shapiro doesn't do, let's say, 50 ad reads in a 50-minute video,
he's not even wrong.
That's how you know they mean
business. He's not even wrong.
He will literally do an ad read at a pro-life march. In person, he will give a speech in real life at a pro-life march about abortion, and he will stop and do an ad read for ZipRecruiter.
True.
But when you're talking about anti-Semitism, there's simply no time. There's no time. We mean business.
Honestly, not a bad response. I'm not even mad. Not a bad response. Now, I'm just making. All right, so this was part of the crash out.
Guess what, Mark Levin? You cannot control a white-ass nigga going hard as fuck. There's one thing you didn't count on. These plans that were laid long ago, these plans they've made, they're going to destroy Iraq and then Syria. And then
I'm just noticing the irony right now. This dude was saying that I can't believe that Ben Shapiro didn't do an ad read, and here he is responding, promoting his merch. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Iran, and we're all gonna go along with it. There's just one thing you didn't account for. One white-ass nigga going hard as fuck. A human wrench into the system who inspires millions. There's just one thing you didn't count on. One white-ass nigga going hard as fuck, bringing all your plans to a screeching halt. Cannot be intimidated, cannot be canceled, cannot be censored, cannot be gaslit, honeypotted.
Well, yeah, it's not getting honeypotted because he's gay. But that's not the point. All right, that is not relevant. Not relevant. So ultimately, before we watch the actual Ben Shapiro takedown that everyone's telling me I need to watch this video, before we watch this, all right, before we watch this, it's important to understand. It's important to understand what we ultimately have here is the ultimate battle, the ultimate war, the ultimate face-off between a CIA operative A Mossad operative. And just some guy who ended up in the middle of all of this, who completely lost the plot and blames the Jews on everything in all of history. So that's kind of where we're at right now. It's kind of insane. Anyway, we got true retard on retard violence, which is how everyone knew that I would be here. All right, everyone knew that I would be here because it's retard on retard violence. Hell yeah, dude. And as a retard myself, I feel like it is important to analyze all of this. And again, let me remind you of my stance. My stance is, let's talk about America, actually, and not this little country that's not really controlling our country whatsoever at all. So anyway, let's see what we got.
Hey, folks, I want to do something different on today's show. We're going to cover one topic in depth. That topic is, I think, the most important thing happening in the country. It was a hot topic last week, but I wanted to take some time to really gather my thoughts and speak on it in coherent fashion, holistic fashion. That topic is the fragmentation of the political right. That fragmentation is being caused purposefully by a splinter faction of people led by a young man named Nick Fuentes. They call themselves the Groypers. They are white supremacists. They hate women, Jews, Hindus, many types of Christians, brown people of a wide variety of backgrounds, blacks,
I believe that.
America's foreign policy, and America's Constitution.
So in my I'm trying my best to be devil's advocate here, to the best of my ability. While they do hate all those things, they also kind of are all those things. Like the Groypers, they're white supremacists, sure, but none of them are like straight white guys. They're all like gay people, Mexican people, brown people, like Muslims. Like bro, I'm not even lying. I feel like the Groypers aren't. I have never seen a white Groyper. Like, I'm not trying to be rude here or anything, but I have yet to see a white Groyper. I'm still looking. Nick Fuentes, the Mexican guy. All right, dude.
They admire Hitler and Stalin. And that splinter faction is now being facilitated.
It's diabolical. It's crazy. And again, I think he's the reason why Nick Fuentes is such a meteoric rise is because he's just essentially a product of the woke left. Right? You had the woke left. All right? You had the woke left, basically completely radical leftists saying that, you know, we need to prop up, you know, black people, gay people, and trans people, and essentially everyone that's not a straight white guy gets propped up. So ultimately what they created is the pushback on the right, which is radical pro-white straight guys, and everyone else could get fucked. Like, this is literally created by the left, and it's really obvious.
And normalized within the mainstream Republican Party. The main agent in that normalization is Tucker Carlson, who is an intellectual coward, a dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend. And
damn. To be clear, in the past, Ben Shapiro asked to debate Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson refused. For the record, this is important to note. For the record, he did do that.
Tucker Carlson last week was aided.
Actually, I'm going to make this even better. Ben Shapiro wanted to debate Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson refused. Nick Fuentes wanted to debate Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro refused. All right, we got to put this all into perspective. All right, this is literally the trifecta of retards fighting. And here's the thing: like, I don't dislike Ben Shapiro. I don't. I really don't. It's just wild watching this go down when our country is kind of burning in the middle. It's like this is unreal. It's unreal. Oh my God, bro.
Abetted, celebrated for normalizing Nazism within the Republican Party by the mainstay organization of the traditional right, the Heritage Foundation. Now, before we explain what's been happening, let's make one thing clear. This is not about free speech or cancellation. It was never about free speech or cancellation.
He is right. They use this way too often.
Free speech has a definition: the right to speak free of governmental coercion. I believe in it, of course. I've always defended it. Criticism of bad speech is, in fact, just a form of free speech.
Correct.
Cancellation also has a definition: the banning of particular people, including people like Nick Fuentes, from platforms like X or Facebook. I believe that Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable, but I've never called for his cancellation, and in fact, I've called for his restoration to those services, despite the fact that I think he's odious and despicable.
Based Ben Shapiro, honestly. I actually didn't know that. That's actually pretty based. I actually also said that. I also said I don't want to see Nick Fuentes banned everywhere because I think it's disgusting. We need freedom of speech. We need the open discussion.
It is not cancellation to draw moral lines between viewpoints. In fact, we used to call that one of the key aspects of conservatism. It is not cancellation to refuse to signal boost Hitler's supporters like Nick Fuentes. It is not cancellation to criticize Tucker Carlson for rhetorically fluffing Nick Fuentes and other anti-American crackpots. It's not cancellation if you urge others to stop promoting those who rhetorically fluff Nazi apologists. Those are all elements of free speech. And anyone who says differently is lying to you, and lying for the most cynical reasons to misdirect from their own defense of those Nazi apologists and their promoters. The issue here isn't that Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show last week. He has every right to do that, of course. The issue here is that Tucker Carlson decided to normalize and fluff Nick Fuentes, and that the Heritage Foundation then decided to robustly defend that.
Nux just doesn't want Nick banned because he wants retards to keep fighting. Listen. I do have my ulterior motives. All right, Nick Fuentes does make the internet more fun. I'm not gonna lie, he does. Is it dangerous? Who knows? But I don't want him to get banned just because I think that people got to stop doing this. I think that in general we need open discussion, and I really feel like it's become like a really radicalizing force in America, where you have like the pro-Israel side is becoming more and more radically pro-Israel and against anyone that refuses to be pro-Israel. And I think that's like super destructive. It's unbelievably self-destructive. Like, look, Ben Shapiro, he's a Jewish guy. Obviously, he's pro-Israel. That doesn't mean you should hate people for not being pro-Israel. No one needs to be pro-Israel. Like, you just need to be pro-America if you're in America. And I think this stuff is wild, and it's important to talk about it. I mean, you know, this year there were Jews set on fire in Colorado. There were Jews executed in Washington D.C. All right, by these pro-Palestine leftoids and Islamists. Like, I think stuff like this is super important to talk about. Like, because that's really America. That's what's going on here. That doesn't mean you need to be pro-Israel. It doesn't mean you need to be pro-Ukraine. It doesn't mean you need to be pro-Argentina or Venezuela or any other country around the world. Like, it's really wild that this became such a polarizing point, when the reality is we have a really difficult situation here in America, where the left is A, killing us, and, like, literally, and B, trying to flood our country with illegals to outvote us. I think it's insane. I think it's wild. Being pro-Israel is perfectly fine and pragmatic. Being anti-Israel is toxic. Dude, I don't care what your opinions are. You have every right to your opinion or whatever. God gave you free will, and you could use that will to exercise it in any way that you want. But when it's like, we gotta kill the Jews that support Israel because it's treason, that's just retarded also. And it's on all the sides. It really is. And it's important to make this differentiation.
Performance. Those who criticize both Tucker and Heritage aren't canceling. They are quite properly drawing a moral line. So, for those who don't understand what's going on, let's begin with Nick Fuentes. Now, as I mentioned, last week, Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes. Fuentes is a 27-year-old man who's dubbed himself the leader of a movement called the Groypers. He has a large audience of alienated young white men in particular, and he's earned...
Nah, you wrong about that. All the Groypers are brown. Nah, you wrong about that one, Benny boy.
Increased media attention over the course of the past few years, especially over the last year. Now,
I'm not trying to be controversial here or anything. What I am going to do is show you what the anti-Israel right, like the Groypers and the Groyper adjacent people are about. All right? I feel like it's important. All right? This is Nux analysis here. This is why you watch the Nux channel, because only I will show you what the reality actually is. So first, we got Nick Fuentes, a Mexican. Then we have white nationalist Andrew Tate, half black. Then you have Sneeko, half black and Muslim. You have Myron Gaines, black and a Muslim. These are the white supremacists, by the way. All right, you'll pay attention. These are going to be the white supremacists that you see on the internet. Now, I just want to make this very clear. All right, who else? You obviously have the Hoge twins. This isn't hating on any of these people. It's just analyzing it. Black guys. Not trying to be rude. Anyway, I could keep going. Andrew Tate is white? Yeah, well, his dad's not white. So, anyway.
Tucker Carlson's interview. You might have gathered that Fuentes has some borderline views on race, a peculiar obsession with what he calls organized Jewry, and a rather sad relationship with the female sex. But probably you came away thinking that, for the most part, Fuentes lives on
Dude, Nick Fuentes, bro, needs to marry a woman. All right, I'm just saying. Bro, this dude would shut down all of his detractors if he just marries a female.
radical edge of normality. You think that if you watch the interview, because Tucker Carlson decided that it was important not only to host Fuentes, but to smooth over his views, water them down, and make them far more palatable to a normal audience. As we'll discuss in a bit, this is what Tucker Carlson does for a living. But back to Nick Fuentes.
All right.
To understand just what Tucker did here, we must actually examine what Nick Fuentes says on his show, and has said for almost a decade, because he was asked precisely 0 questions about any of what you're about to see.
So Nick Fuentes says that he apologizes for nothing. So I'm excited to see the clips that he pulls up. Let's see what these clips are.
Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes says women want to be raped.
Uh-oh.
A lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them.
Whoa!
But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
Bro, dude, you cannot call Ben Shapiro an SJW for calling you out for that, man. Listen, there's a big difference for being like, this isn't calling you sexist. This is a whole other level. Wow! Okay, anyway, moving on.
Fuentes says that his followers should kill, rape, and die in his name.
Yeah, I saw that.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
I assume that's kind of a joke to some extent, but yeah, definitely taking oaths and stuff is not cool, I guess.
Nick Fuentes says that women are whores who shouldn't be in politics.
I mean, hey, he's not wrong about everything. He's not wrong about everything.
I will continue my crusade against women in politics. Because it's always like this, and it's so ironic. Women are like, I don't like, when you say, you have to affect the face. When you say to repeal the 19th Amendment, that offends me. That hurts my feelings. It's like, have you ever stopped and considered that maybe if you get offended, there's such a strong emotional reaction to political opinions you disagree with across the board. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you shouldn't be making political decisions. What
do you want me to say? I mean, bro's not exactly completely wrong here.
I'm not attacking women. I'm attacking whores. You have no problems, right?
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. Dude, women that just go out there and are literally willing to sell their body for money, yeah, that's whoring around. Whether it's for politics or whether it's for, the oldest profession of all time.
I'm attacking whores. I'm attacking sluts. Stupid, dirty bitches.
Based.
Nick Fuentes says that Jim Crow was actually better for black people.
Oh, damn.
It was better for them too, number one, but number two, who cares? Who cares? Enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Oh, they had to drink out of a different water. Big fucking deal. Oh no, they had to go to a different school. Their water fountain in that famous picture.
Bro, wait, when this dude was gonna say Jim Crow wasn't that bad, I thought he was gonna be like, because the marriage rate was stronger, people grew up in 2-family households, and he's just like, yeah, segregation was kind of cool. The black fountain was better. It's like, no.
Was worse.
Oh,
who cares?
no.
Grow up. Drink out of the fucking water fountain. It's just...
All right, that's a pretty bad take.
It's water. It's the same. And, even if it was bad, who cares? Who cares? It's better. It's better in general. We all agree it was better for them. It's better for us. It's better in general.
Oh, my God, dude.
Nick Fuentes.
Oh, my God. That's a bad take, bro. If you want to make the argument that, two-family households are better and there were more then, so there were aspects of that time period, that's one thing, bro. That's one thing. But just being like, it's just objectively better in all metrics, they had their own water fountains. It was so nice. Okay, dude.
Says that white people are justified in being racist.
I mean, reason that we talk about this, by the way, I know a lot of black people see this and they go, man, why are you always talking about black people, this and that? Because there just needs to be some shame here. Well, there's a few reasons. First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified to the extent that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
Whoa! That's out of context.
Nick Flynn.
There's no way that there's no more context to that. There has to be context. Wow. The context has to be something along the lines of, in different ghettos, the crime rates are higher. So therefore, if you're living in a community, you would pick a community that's not more of a ghetto community. I imagine that's the context. There's no way this is just like a blatant racism good, black people bad statement. There's no way. Like, I've seen some of his clips before. There's no way.
Fuentes is a Hitler admirer and a Holocaust denier.
Buddy, it's Führer Friday. It is Hitler Friday. Shut up. It is Heil Hitler Friday, nigga.
Look, I'm trying my best to be good here. I'm trying my best to play devil's advocate. All right. Is he racist? Probably. Everyone's a little bit racist.
Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis.
Yikes. All right, dude. Like the pro-Hitler shit is so like juvenile and cringe. It really is. Like, it's so juvenile and cringe.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
Bro, these people have to stop with the Hitler obsession. That guy sucked. He was terrible not only for Germany, not only for the Jews, but for the world. Like, the Hitler praising shit's just... There is no context.
They sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up.
Yeah, this is like, there's no way the Nazis could have killed 6 million Jews because, according to my really stupid analogy...
I don't think you'd...
Yeah, like, the Holocaust denial thing, the reason why I find that shit so stupid is because there's literally endless proof. Like, there's literally endless actual verified evidence. But anywho...
Result in 6 million, maybe 200 to 300,000 cookies. And I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies baked. Probably. And in addition, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies. And the smokestacks would project certain shadows, but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens. Moreover, if you look at the soil texture, it's really not deep enough for mass cookie storage underground.
Bro, this is wild. Like, first of all, they weren't all cremated. Obviously, a lot of them were gassed. Obviously, a lot of them were shot. Obviously, a lot of them were starved. Most of them were murdered in their own towns before the trains brought them into camps. Like, but anyway, no one actually cares. Everyone that knows anything about history knows that the Holocaust deniers really are not based on anything realistic. In fact, there's literal name catalogs of people that died. If you look up Yad Vashem, they have the names individually of over 5 million Jews that were killed. You look at the demographics. You look at the demographics of Jews in Europe before and after the Holocaust, you will notice that around 6 million are missing. Now, again, it's really not the point. I'm not here to defend the Holocaust, but like, this is like, or defend the fact that the Holocaust actually happened. But this is obvious. It's like, it's edginess. It's just complete edginess for the sake of edginess, and it's honestly kind of juvenile. It really is. This is like the kid that tries to say something edgy to get people to pay attention to him, and he just says something racist. Like, that's what this comes across as. Also, obvious hatred of Jews, which, I mean, just happens.
Nick Fuentes believes that the Jews start all the wars, that perfidious Jews in positions of power ought to be killed, and says the Jews are filth who have to be removed from the country.
And once again, remember who is responsible for it all. The Jews.
He just says it. He just says it. No.
Responsible for every war in the world. It's
really the Jews, 0.2% of the population, responsible for every war in the world?
Not even debatable at this point.
What's the goal of denying the Holocaust? Oh, he denies the Holocaust to say that the reason why the Jews have so much power is because the Jews make believe there was a Holocaust. All right, they make believe that there was a Holocaust so that you could feel bad for Jews, and then the Jews could control you or whatever. Like, that's part of the strategy.
This has nothing to do with oil. This has nothing to do with democracy. This has nothing to do with liberal internationalism. We are at war with Iran because they pose a threat to Israel's hegemony.
This is literally, it's crazy how untrue this is. First of all, we're at war with Iran. We are at war with Iran. That just means Iran, the sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East, was smacked by Israel. Israel single-handedly, with no assistance virtually, wiped out the entire air defense system of Iran and took out basically all of their military leaders. America flew in for 2 seconds and bombed the shit out of a nuclear site because you don't want Iran nuking America. You don't want Iran to become a nuclear nation. I feel like this is really obvious. This isn't like Israel sucking America into infinite wars. Like, that really isn't at all what happened.
That's why we're bombing their nukes, to pave the way for regime change so Israel can dominate the region, because that makes them the most powerful they can be.
There is an occult element at the high levels of society, and specifically among the Jews. So many of the people that are perpetrating the lies and the destruction on the country, they are evildoers. They are people that worship false gods. They are people that practice magic or rituals or whatever. And more than anything, those people need to be, when we take power, they need to be given the death penalty. Straight up.
You just think all the Jews at high levels of society, just instant death penalty, bro?
And I'm far more concerned about that.
He doesn't even look like he's joking around. He looks like he's completely serious.
I am about even non-white people or mass migration. These people that are communing with demons and engaging in this sort of witchcraft and stuff, and these people that are suppressing the name Christ and suppressing Christianity, they must be absolutely annihilated when we take power. This is God's country. This is Jesus's country. This is not the domain of atheists or devil worshippers or perfidious Jews. This is
perfidious Jews.
Christ country.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a really bad clip.
Josh Hammer and Mark Levin, fuck these people. Like, deeply, seriously. All real Americans, if you are a real American, if you were born in this country, I don't even care who you are, what you are, if you are a real American,
all right,
that loves this country, you have generations in this country, your family or you fought for this flag, fought for the Constitution, fought for our church, fought for our civilization. For all of you, I say about Josh Hammer and Mark Levin and Laura Loomer, fuck them. Fuck them. Deeply, seriously, get them the fuck out of our country.
Nick Fuentes.
Deport all the Jews. Deport the Jews. Bro. Oh, my God.
Should be mentioned, despises Donald Trump and the MAGA movement as well.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. You are, and honestly,
bro, this dude flip-flops on Trump like crazy. Didn't he have like a dinner with Trump and Kanye once? And now he just desperately hates him because he doesn't seem to hate Jews?
And if you watch my show, you know I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had.
I'll just be real. This entire beef here among the right wing with like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, this is not helping the MAGA movement. Like, we want the MAGA movement to succeed. I do. I want mass deportations of people that are invading our country. Personally, that's what I want.
So, that right there is just a brief glimpse into the twisted mind of Nick Fuentes. And there's plenty more where that came from. Of course, hours of it per day, in fact.
All right.
And there's no doubt that Nick Fuentes has a lot of play these days. That's because the left, by moving into a politics of anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-male identitarianism, created its bizarre mirror image. A white pseudo-Christian incel identitarian movement dedicated to destroying the institutions of this country
He's
and
not
replacing
wrong.
Americanism.
Well, I don't think that the goal is destroying the country. I really don't. I do think that this is just a lot of disenfranchised people that were ruined by the system that are coming together. Now, there's a lot. Whenever you have like a group of people that are a victim of some sort of prejudice, which, to be honest, straight white people are a victim of prejudice in America. Yeah, I'm not trying to be controversial here. Absolutely true. White people in America are victims of prejudice, whether you like it or not. That will always form a victim mentality group of people that want to see the institution somewhat destroyed or reshaped in their image. We saw that with different communities on the left. The minorities wanted to destroy America and, recreate it in this DEI hellscape. And essentially, you have kind of a similar mirror image of that, obviously. I don't think Nick Fuentes personally wants to destroy America. I do believe he actually wants the best for America. I just think he is finding a reason to blame it all on the Jews but even though, dude, the Jews aren't stopping you from getting a girlfriend, okay? I'm not gonna lie. The Jews are not stopping you from getting a girlfriend. They're not. It's not the Jews. That personally, not the Jews. So realistically, it is wild. Obviously, there are a lot of Jewish people in power that I think are corrupt. And the issue is, that just kind of makes it seem like all Jews are doing that.
Something else. Nick Fuentes' philosophy is not fully formed. It's an incoherent stew of malignity. But that's where Tucker Carlson enters the story. Now, since his exit from Fox News in 2023, when, of course, he was a very, very popular host, Tucker Carlson has turned himself into a conspiracist and a crank and a pathological liar. Tucker,
All right, Tucker Carlson, which Jew is stopping you from going to the gym and working off that gut? Huh, Tucker? Point at the Jew that's preventing you from going to the gym and working out, huh?
Is Vladimir Putin's murderous and barbarous reign. He has even become one of his most ardent defenders.
It is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the U.S. government and barely had electricity. And now it is
when he was a CIA operative.
Much cleaner and safer and prettier aesthetically. It's architecture, it's food, it's service than any city in the United States that you have to, and this is non-ideological. How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder, isn't that the ultimate measure of leadership? And that's true, by the way, it's radicalizing for an American to go to Moscow, I didn't know that, I've learned it this week, to Singapore, to Tokyo, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because these cities, no matter how we're told they're run and on what principles they're run, are wonderful places to live.
Bro, maybe I'm confused. All right? But, and obviously, I'm not a Christian, so I don't understand the full grips of Christian ethics. My understanding is, it's very good to have a society that works very well for your people. But Abu Dhabi literally has slaves. They literally have infinite slavery. They will chop off a woman's hand for revealing her hair in public. This just seems like unbelievable shilling. You can't be like, well, Abu Dhabi's amazing. Abu Dhabi's awesome because it's clean. And then, at the same time, if you have a woman that's not wearing a hijab, they get publicly stoned. What are we talking about?
We're told they're run and on what principles they're run are wonderful places to live.
So I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart back.
There is no way he's doing this to glaze Russia. They have this everywhere. This system exists in all of Europe and in Israel as well. This is not a Russian invention.
So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it and not just bring it to your homeless encampment. I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States, buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week.
Right, they do it in Aldi, in America.
And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption.
It's again, what even is the point of this? Much to my surprise, I bought $400 worth of groceries with $100. Now, it's true that the average salary here is way lower, but that's crazy. Bro, you could buy a ton of groceries for even cheaper. If you go, I don't know, to Zimbabwe. You could buy Zimbabwe for $400.
If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders
But how is blaming Israel going to change that? Like, again, I agree with you. Why don't we get the American people a rich-ass country where every person at the age of 25 could afford a house? You're right. I fully support that. The solution isn't socialism.
Done to us.
When Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin, by the way, Vladimir Putin was so amused by Tucker Carlson's easy questioning that he actually mocked him. Tucker Carlson has massaged the Iranian dictatorship and admitted to not asking any difficult questions of the president of that dictatorship.
The interview is limited by a couple of factors. One, it was done by remote through a translator. That's always awkward. For another, I don't speak Persian. And there are all kinds of questions that I didn't ask the president of Iran, particularly questions to which I knew I could not get an honest answer, such as, was your nuclear program totally disabled by the bombing campaign by the U.S. government a week and a half ago? There's no chance he's going to answer that question honestly. I didn't bother to ask it. The answer, in fact, from an American perspective, even from the CIA's perspective, is unknowable.
Yes, I interviewed the supreme leader of Iran. Now, I didn't ask him about the whole wanting to nuke America thing, because I felt like, what's the point?
Tucker bizarrely worships at the altar of Qatar.
They're mad at you because you don't put your parents in some institution. Maybe they're trying to break up your families.
Well, it can be a reason. Honestly, I don't know what is really the purpose behind this, but we see that, you know, a lot of things that are happening are attacks on humanity in general. It's when you lose the family value, when you lose the connection between the family themselves, you will lose the connection.
Bro, Qatar literally funds Hamas. Hamas started the war that killed thousands of Israelis and tens of thousands of Palestinians. They are propped up by Hamas. Why are we listening to family values from people where domestic abuse is legal? In Qatar, you are allowed to beat up your wife. Okay? To make it clear, you could beat the shit out of your wife in Qatar. Why are we going to these guys to listen about family values? Like, this is crazy.
Between the people as well, on a broader level, on the people in the same neighborhood, on the people in the same region, in the same countries. And that's basically will just make us, you know, as individuals who are, quote unquote, independent from anyone. That's what we will feel. Yet it will just make our societies vulnerable and easy to be penetrated.
That's right.
Tucker Carlson praises Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, even as Maduro keeps the entire country in communist penury and ships fentanyl into the United States to kill Americans by the hundreds of thousands.
See, this is like a giant red flag. When you're like, Maduro's not so bad, when he is killing hundreds of thousands of Americans through fentanyl shipping, it's insane. See, it's wild. See, when you show me the clips of Nick Fuentes, and it's like, yeah, a lot of it's edgy for the sake of being edgy, you know, stuff like that. But Tucker Carlson has to be like some sort of agent. Like what are we talking about? Like, this is evil.
Why are we so opposed to Nicolas Maduro?
He kills hundreds of thousands of Americans through shipping fentanyl into our country, and he floods us with illegal immigrants that are stealing votes and human trafficking. What even does this mean?
So if you ask someone on the street, random person, why are we against Nicolas Maduro? The answer you're going to get is, who's Nicolas Maduro? But if you find someone in South Florida, for example, who knows who Nicolas Maduro is, who can identify where Venezuela is on a map, that person will almost certainly say, well, because he's a communist or a socialist, he's exceedingly left-wing, and that is true. Nicolas Maduro and his government are very left-wing on economics, not on social policy, by the way, which is kind of interesting. In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned. It's one of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is on social policy, not defending the regime, just saying, one of the most conservative countries
in North
Bro,
or
what are we
South
doing?
or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close.
Oh my God, dude, we cannot be glazing the terrorists that are trying to kill us, man. Can I show you? This is here. I'm gonna show you a graph. All right. This is the graph. This is a level of importance to the discussion about stopping the left from killing us and importing infinite retards. This is the level of importance Israel is in the grand scheme of American politics. All right. Israel's an ally. They're supplying us with technology. We're building the Golden Dome around America with Israeli tech. We're using their laser systems. We're getting intelligence from them. On the flip side, we're giving them billions, which I actually don't like. I don't like supporting foreign nations in general. I would like to cut off as much foreign aid as possible. So, but I'm not saying it's not worth of any discussion. All right. So this is the level of importance Israel should have in the public discussion. In fact, it's probably more like this, if you want me to be honest. All right. This is the level of importance Israel should have in the public discussion. And this is everything else, because remember, Israel definitely has a lobby in America. So does Qatar. So does China. So does Russia. So does Abu Dhabi. So does every other country on the planet. So let's not make believe that's not true either. So this is Israel. This is the everything else that we need to talk about. All right, communism, radical importation of immigrants to take our voting. It's people literally killing us, celebrating our murders, stopping ICE agents from doing their jobs, judges that were releasing criminals from prisons, the giant food stamp scams and everything. This is that. Now, all of the discussion that's being had on the right is here. All of it. Ben Shapiro versus Tucker Carlson versus Nick Fuentes. It's all here. It's all here, and it's not here. And this is the biggest subversion of actual Western politics of all time. This is why this is so frustrating to me. Because ultimately, while yeah, this matters, it's not even remotely as important to America as this. And I think that this is just deplorable. It's unbelievable that we're doing this.
Tucker Carlson glosses Hamas, the genocidal jihadi group behind October 7th, as a political organization.
You can't claim that they're in Hamas while simultaneously claiming that Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly.
They are.
Which I don't know if that's true, by the way.
How do you not know? They execute gay people. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they're radical.
It's more like a political organization. But whatever it is, they're telling us constantly they're Al-Qaeda.
Tucker Carlson has attacked President Trump as a cover-up artist for sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein on behalf of Israel and Mossad, making sure, of course, never to mention President Trump's name, because, of course, Tucker's a coward.
And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking...
Again, is it Israel? Is it not Israel? I don't know. There's no real evidence either way. I think it's most likely it's a joint Mossad, CIA, MI6 operation because all the intelligence agencies are in a giant orgy with each other. But, okay.
That's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that.
Tucker Carlson has stated that President Trump has undermined America First and MAGA by attacking Iran, giving in to neocon ghouls like Mark Levin, while also idiotically arguing that President Trump striking Iran's nuclear facilities would lead to World War III. Spoiler alert, it didn't.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson also said in his interview with Nick Fuentes that the people he hates most in the entire world, more than ISIS.
I love when these guys, they're all like, there's only one person, one group of people you can't criticize, the Jews. And then they criticize Jews. It's awesome.
In his interview with Nick.
This fake cancel culture is insane. All right? There's no cancel culture around criticizing Jews in Israel. Are you insane? What are you talking about? You've got to stop this shit, man.
Fuentes, that the people he hates most in the entire world, more than ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Trans-Tifa, Marxists, rapists, murderers, are Christian Zionists who represent an enormous chunk of the conservative base. According to Tucker Carlson, who admits that he first read the Bible all the way through just 2 years ago, Christians who support a Jewish state of Israel are heretics and blasphemers with a
Tucker Carlson only first read the Bible 2 years ago, and he's telling other Christians on how they have to be Christians? That's diabolical.
Brain virus.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all, George W. Bush, Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then
you forgot another one, Charlie Kirk. I know he's not mentioning it because Charlie Kirk was murdered, and everyone feels terrible that Charlie Kirk was murdered. But he's another one of those pro-Israel Christians.
The Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right. I mean, that's just Christians that think Israel as a country has the right to exist.
I could just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody.
Bro!
Because, like, what?
Bro! Dude hates Charlie Kirk more than he hates the leftist furry trans guy that murdered Charlie Kirk. What? I can't even understand. Like, I don't even get it, man. I literally don't even get it.
Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
Christian heresy? Oh my God, bro, what are we doing? Look, I'm not telling Christians how to be Christians or anything. I find that gross when people do that. But damn, bro, what are we doing?
Tucker Carlson has said that he despises American Jews who care about October 7th. We, in his words, don't care about America and also want to get his kids killed in a foreign war.
No, he didn't.
I've got 4 draft-age children. So if you're playing recklessly, fast and loose with their lives, then I have a right to despise.
Dude. One of the biggest conspiracy theories that just got mainstreamed, I think, is that all wars that happened were Israel started, right? How many Americans died in wars for Israel? The number's actually 0. America never fought wars on behalf of Israel, to be honest. This is like one of the biggest, I think, at least not that I know of. So it's just wild to see this.
Despise you, and I do. So if you're Nikki Haley, who's running for president, or Ben Shapiro, or half the people I see on television casually mentioning the possibility of nuclear war or sending Americans to fight in the Middle East, or in any way involving us in a war,
I think that the war in Iraq was a massive mistake. I think the war in Iraq was a massive error, a colossal mistake. Stuff like that, for example. But that wasn't for Israel.
Do with prosperity and peace at home, nothing in other words to do with us, Americans, then I have a right to call you out and be really offended because it's my family. They live here. It's not a joke to me. There's nothing abstract about it.
But most of all, Tucker Carlson acts as an ideological launderer for other people's evils. Tucker Carlson says many inflammatory things, always buying back just enough of it to appear as though he's not saying what he's clearly saying. He's a master of gaslighting. Tucker Carlson, for example, would never say out loud what Nick Fuentes does. He wouldn't say the things many of his guests say. And so instead, he acts as an ideological launderer. He takes other people's hideous ideas, he softens them, he treats them with love and care.
So just in case you were curious, I just felt like I'd see what happened here. I asked how many Americans died in wars for Israel. The response was the USS Liberty was attacked, was destroyed. It was blown up by Israel, actually. They claim it was an accident, obviously, and it was accepted. And then, of course, you have the Jordan drone attack, which was just Jordanians blowing up some American soldiers, not in a war. So the total seems to be 37 U.S. military deaths tied to wars for Israel. 37. Again, that's not a little, obviously. It's a tragedy. Every single death is a tragedy. But, dude, we've got to stop making believe that every single war is the Jews. What are we doing?
And then he provides them with a massive signal boost. He isn't merely talking to people in good faith, of course. He's promoting certain people and ideas and attacking others. So, for example, he'll ask a series of wildly obsequious questions to Nick Fuentes. He'll even let Nick Fuentes' support for Joseph Stalin slide.
Bro.
It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin.
Always an admirer. But we don't need to go into that, I guess.
Well, that's, okay.
Dude, this is coming from the guy that thinks we should have supported Hitler in World War II against Stalin. He says we should have supported Hitler in World War II against Stalin. The guy that killed 100 million people or whatever. And he just sees him say that. And he's like, okay, anyway.
Hey, let's get back to it. We'll circle back to that.
They never circle back to it, man.
But
no
he
way.
will grill Ted Cruz about the population of Iran. Tucker Carlson will have on Vladimir Putin's evil, anti-American mouthpiece, Alexander Dugin, and then praise him.
Alexander Dugin is a 62-year-old Russian academic philosopher. He spent his life in Moscow. He was an anti-Soviet dissident as a young man. And now he is famous the world over, in the English language press anyway, as, quote, Putin's brain. But he is not a political figure here in Russia. He is, once again, a philosopher.
Oh, my God.
And his ideas are deeply offensive to some people. In August of 2022, his only daughter was murdered in Moscow when a car bomb killed her. U.S. intelligence says she was murdered by the Ukrainian government, and we take that at face value. But what's interesting is that, once again, Alexander Dugin is not a military leader. He's not a close daily advisor to Vladimir Putin. He is a writer who writes about big ideas. And for this, his books have been banned by the Biden administration in the United States. You cannot buy them on Amazon. Banning books in the United States because the ideas inside are too dangerous. He's often described, again in the English language press, as far right. We'll let you assess. But we wanted to talk to him about some of his ideas, these ideas that are so dangerous that his only daughter was murdered over them, and his book's been banned in the United States.
Tucker Carlson will have on a Hitler-friendly pseudo-historian to minimize the Holocaust and blame Winston Churchill for World War II. And he will call him America's best and most honest historian.
Bro.
I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War.
Dude, what are we even doing? Oh my God. Oh my God. Winston Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War. You've got to stop. You've got to stop. Like, what is this history revisionism stuff, man?
Now, he didn't kill the most people. He didn't commit the most atrocities.
Right.
But I believe, and I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, you see that he was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did, becoming something other than an invasion of Poland. You know, Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler's chiefly responsible for this, but his whole regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners and so forth that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that. And they just threw these people into camps, and millions of people ended up dead there.
He's saying that the Jews died in the Holocaust like by accident because they didn't really know what to do with them, and oopsie poopsie, they accidentally killed 6 million Jews.
And that is the pseudo-historian that Tucker Carlson has said is the best and most honest.
They ended up dying in ovens and getting shot and... wow.
Historian in America. Tucker Carlson will have on over and over a pro-Chinese propagandist who used global warming to promote global socialism, all in order to criticize Israel and hug China.
No way, dude.
Israel has run American foreign policy in the Middle East for 30 years.
These people are awesome.
That's how it works. Bro. This is actually the truth. If we drop our angst on big...
I love how he's going to look away from this guy being a radical pro-climate change shit and just include him anyway because, well, he agrees with these points.
Bad Russia. Actually, we didn't have a chance to talk about it this time. Maybe another time, big bad China, which is also not going to invade the United States, not going to...
Does he make you believe China isn't at all an enemy or a threat to the United States? At all? Bro, what are we doing?
Threaten us, not going to go to war with us. They're trying to deal with aging, and they've got their declining population and many other things. Not that they're falling apart. It's a very impressive civilization, but they're not a threat to the United States, honestly. And Iran is not a threat.
Iran tried to build nukes saying that they're going to kill America, not a threat. China literally trying to conquer the world, slowly but surely, not a threat. Having a stranglehold on the economy and stuff like that, not a threat. Radical communist, whatever, who cares? The real enemy is Israel, a country the size of New Jersey in the Middle East that just kind of wants to exist. Yep, that's the, like, it's wild. It's mind-blowing, bro. See, that's why when I see Tucker Carlson compared to Nick Fuentes, like, I like Nick Fuentes better than Tucker Carlson, and it's not even close. Like, everyone sees it the other way around. I don't even think it's remotely similar. I think Nick Fuentes is, trying to be honest about it, and he does believe his stances, whereas Tucker Carlson, he just comes off as a complete fraud.
Tucker Carlson, of course, brings on pro-Hamas voices episode after episode after episode. The instances are almost limitless. Tucker Carlson will host Andrew Tate, a pornographer and scam artist who mocks rape victims and preaches a cult of narcissism and cruelty. And of course, Tucker Carlson will glorify him and present him as a maligned truth teller rather than an emblem of moral rot. See, this is how
I remember that. I covered that in the past.
Tucker Carlson's ideological laundering works. You bring your dirty, ugly ideologies to Tucker Carlson's rhetorical car wash. He mixes it with some of the vestigial respect Americans have for him from his Fox News days, and voila, hideous ideas suddenly become mainstream. And then, of course, Tucker denies he said anything controversial at all. He was just asking questions. He was just interviewing people. You don't want him to cancel people, do you? Of course, there is no First Amendment right to a Tucker Carlson sensual massage. But to listen to Tucker, you'd think there was, so long as you despise America, oppose President Trump's foreign policy.
Yeah, I don't know what Tucker Carlson actually does that's pro-America. I really don't. I think that, like, dude, Nick Fuentes calls Ben Shapiro America last or whatever because Ben Shapiro supports Israel. I think Tucker Carlson's more America last than Ben Shapiro. Dude going out there just glazing Sharia law and every enemy of America, every socialist dictatorship regime. Like, it is wild.
Peculiar dislike of Jews. Tucker Carlson, you see, is a coward. And here is where his relationship with Nick Fuentes begins. With Nick Fuentes correctly pointing out that Tucker Carlson is a coward.
True.
You see,
I remember that. I remember when Nick Fuentes went out there and he criticized the shit out of Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, a few weeks back, had on Candace Owens to treat her to his usual ideological laundering services. That's after years of Candace Owens saying things like this.
Oh, here we go!
Is the case that dinosaur bones,
I love this clip. This is my favorite Candace Owens clip.
For whatever reason, are always just found by the paleontologists. Like, it's not like...
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Jews invented dinosaurs to trick Christians into believing that dinosaurs are real. Yep.
You and me walking outside. I'm like, hey, a dinosaur bone. And, or by somebody who's related to a paleontologist. It's very strange.
It's just the paleontologists that find the dinosaurs. Even though, you know, anyone that goes on a beach and finds a trilobite fossil, which are super common, and they're also, you know, dinosaur age. Also, did you know that dragons literally existed in, like, every single culture in all of history? Like, you know, China had dragons, you know, Europe had dragons, everyone had dragons, giant, ancient. In fact, you know where else it says that there were dinosaurs? In the Bible. That's right. It says in Genesis chapter 1, you know, God created the great leviathans or whatever of the sea, or however it's translated into English. In the Hebrew version, it literally calls them giant crocodiles. Like, I don't know, man. It's wild. This is mental. The Jews invented dinosaurs to trick Christians. This is wild, bro.
And, or by somebody who's related to a paleontologist. It's very strange.
It's always the doctors that diagnose me with cancer.
And then, but it was just convenient for Israel that JFK got shot. It was just convenient, you guys. Totally convenient.
I know she's doing her whole thing where Israel killed Charlie Kirk, which is so retarded, bro.
It was convenient for Israel, by the way, when the towers went down.
Bro!
I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. Like, 1,000% blame the Zionists. Like let that be my parting word. I'm waking people up to the fact that pedophiles are in power. Yes. They are literally in power. And that is intentional because then they can be controlled while they are in power. No. And they are also exhibiting signs of a psychopathology that lets them know that they will do harm to the masses and feel nothing because they were themselves, many of them, raped when they were children. Yep. It is not a coincidence that Justin Trudeau is gay. Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married to a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
Oh, Candace Owens, she's the GOAT, man. You can't hate her too much. Listen, just because she's retarded, it doesn't mean we have to hate her.
Well, Candace Owens had recently...
See, here's the difference, all right? Let me introduce you to the new political right wing. All right, now that we have 4 characters, I feel like it'll be more important to discuss this. All right, so here we got Israel first. All right, we'll call Ben Shapiro Israel first. That's what Nick calls him. We have Israel first. We have Nick Fuentes, who, in my opinion, is deluded in some respects. You know, blame everything on the Jews. Stalin was a good guy, and all that. You have Tucker Carlson, an operative. Right, this dude's a complete fraud. This dude's an operative. And then you have Candace Owens, retarded. Yep. That's right, baby. You heard it correct. You heard it here first, everybody. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. It's as simple as that. It's actually as simple as that. And these are the people arguing, man. These are the people arguing. Oh my God.
Recently hosted Nick Fuentes, and this led Tucker Carlson, in an attempt to dissociate from Fuentes, to label him a weird little gay kid operating from a basement, and a Fed as well.
That's obvious to me. I've been around a long time. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't understand it. We were very kind to him. Like, I truly, like, we almost said, like, we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
Clearly it's
and then it was a 180. So it's either A, it's being driven from, like, a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he, like, just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's
that could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Well, Nick Fuentes did not take kindly to it. After all, here was Tucker Carlson, a man Nick Fuentes correctly sees as a fellow traveler, dismissing him, all the while refusing to say the sorts of things for which Fuentes takes slings and arrows. And so Fuentes unleashed on him as a fraud and also as an expert on gaslighting.
See, Nick was totally based here because I think both Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes hate the Jews equally. Nick Fuentes actually says it. Tucker Carlson just launders his opinions through other people and is a giant fraud. So of course he calls him out.
Tucker is like the goat of gaslighting. But unironically, he goes up at the memorial and said, Charlie Kirk told the truth. You know who else told the truth? Jesus. And you know what happened? He got killed by Jews. And people said, so are you saying that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk in the way that they killed Jesus for telling the truth because they hate the truth? And Tucker said, I never said that. You're crazy. I never said that. Everyone eats hummus. What do you mean? Everyone runs Jerusalem.
Yeah, there it is, man. You know, it's kind of crazy because, like, ultimately the whole Jesus was killed by the Jews thing. There were some Jews that tattletaled on the Romans, and the Romans killed Jesus. And of course, people are blaming the Jews for basically all of history for killing Jesus. For the last 2,000 years, people are blaming the Jews for killing Jesus, when in reality, it was a small group of people that were Jews that told on him to the Romans. Ironically, I feel like that's a lot of what's happening in America right now, where you do have these radical woke Jews, I'll be real, like they're George Soros type people, all right, that are actually really powerful and are actually, in my opinion, operating against America's interest with the, importation of immigrants and stuff like that. And ultimately, you could blame all the Jews, which is what Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson seems to be doing. But in reality, there is a group of woke Jews, not a large group. Well, there are a lot of woke Jews, obviously. There's a lot of woke people in every group. But specifically, hyper-powerful woke people, some of them happen to be Jews. And people are blaming all the Jews on it, the same way they blame all the Jews on killing Jesus, when that is not reality either. So it really is interesting. It really is interesting. It's kind of like we're seeing this all over again. And again, to quote Jesus on the cross, he forgave the people, not just all the Jews, which he said, he worshipped in their temple and stuff like that. But he forgave the ones that directly tattled on him to the Romans. It's wild. It really is wild.
But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson says, I have so many trust funds, I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them.
Well, there was one big problem for Tucker Carlson in all of this.
I am a disenfranchised gay kid in my mother's basement. No, but he was right there. He was totally right there. And Tucker Carlson, the gigantic coward that he was, completely cucked out and then had Nick Fuentes on his show and glazed him for 2 hours. Is that not insane? That he literally 180'd so quickly because he realized that the public sentiment was against him? Is that not wild?
Nick Fuentes is absolutely 100% correct. Tucker is a coward, and Tucker's audience, much of which he shares with Nick Fuentes, knows it. And so Tucker hit upon a final stratagem. He let Nick Fuentes cuck him. He brought Nick Fuentes on
Yeah, I covered that entire crash out in a previous video if you want. I'm following all the lore. While I do think that this should not be the #1 discussion of the American right, it is.
Legitimate his ideology. He signal boosted Fuentes, glossed him, shined him, presented him to the world, all in order to protect his own reputation with his online base. A base he is competing over with Nick Fuentes. Now, of course, Tucker has a right to do all of this for the 100th time. He can do what he likes. This is America. But there's no question that Tucker has become the most virulent super spreader of vile ideas in America. And the rest of us who oppose those vile ideas have every right to call him that.
Correct, and that's not
There's
canceling.
one other element here that's even darker if possible.
Oh, damn!
Tucker Carlson preys on the friendship he proclaims with others. And then he knifes them directly between the shoulder blades when convenient for him. Tucker Carlson is, in short, a terrible friend.
Ooh!
Tucker Carlson was supposedly Charlie Kirk's friend.
The drama.
Charlie believed that Nick Fuentes was vermin. That's a direct quote. He believed that because Nick Fuentes dedicated his life to destroying Charlie Kirk and TPUSA from the inside. In fact, here's Nick Fuentes describing Charlie Kirk the month before Charlie was murdered.
Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow.
Christian gatekeeper Nick Fuentes decided. Charlie Kirk, you're out of God's party. Can I just say, putting politics to the side for just a second, I don't know a single man in my lifetime that brought as many people to faith and to believing in God than Charlie Kirk. I think he is. I think Charlie Kirk is the #1 most pro-God person of our generation. And I don't even care about any religion. Any religion, anywhere on the world. This man brought more people to God than any other person in this generation. In fact, any other person in the last 50 years, in the last 5 generations. Not even exaggerating. In this giant, hyper-secular America that we're in right now, hyper-secular America, where they literally shit on people of all religions and any faiths, you're not allowed to criticize anybody. Right? You can't criticize minorities, you can't criticize Jews or blacks or women or gay people. You're not allowed to criticize any of them, but you are allowed to criticize religion. And they literally shit on religion in every single movie, in every single production, and all the media constantly. That's super acceptable. And this man preached it, and he got people on his side. And through his horrible murder, he brought even more people there. And I have nothing but respect for that guy. Absolutely nothing but respect for him. Jordan Peterson helped. No, there were definitely a lot of, I think, positive figures in the realm of, bringing people to God. But I don't think there was anyone that like Charlie Kirk. I mean, as an example, J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, started speaking at Turning Points events about God. Right? He started going to events that Charlie hosted to talk about God. The Vice President of the United States does not have a speech where he doesn't preach the name of the Lord and believing in God. And he does not have one where God's name is not on his lips. Not a single one. And that's just because of Charlie Kirk. It really is. He said himself that it's because of Charlie Kirk. He used to be afraid to talk about it in public. Like, I don't think people realize what this man did. So anyway, so that's why I always feel, I always personally have disdain when they're he's a fake Christian because of X beliefs or Y beliefs.
Forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way.
Yeah. So anyway, it's deplorable what's happening to the right, man. That we're having this civil war, over Israel, because probably some foreign operatives are literally rubbing their hands together. All right, that was a Jewish thing. Some foreign operatives praising Allah that right now we're literally at each other's throats because of this. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. This is what's happened to the right. I think Matt Walsh is correct. I think J.D. Vance is correct. I think Trump is correct that this really should not be the number one discussion. This should not be the number one discussion in America. But it is.
And here is Nick Fuentes describing how he destroyed TPUSA from the inside.
Whether he chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time. My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I fucked it. And I've been fucking it. And that's why it's filled with groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all groypers.
And here's Nick.
I don't know, man. The crazy thing is, if you watch my old videos, I literally called this right after Trump became president. I literally called this. I called that this would be the major division now on the right. It's insane how predictable it was.
Fuentes calling Charlie Kirk unpatriotic and talking about how he's a retarded idiot and saying all firepower should be focused on Charlie Kirk.
I think a lot of people are starting to find out Charlie Kirk is not the patriot that he says he is. And so I look at what happened last night and I think to myself, this is totally a doable operation. You know, Charlie Kirk in the grand scheme of things is just some retarded idiot. The dog is terrified. I had to go upstairs and reassure him because I'm screaming at my screen, calling Charlie Kirk a bitch and everything. The contrast could not be more clear. Charlie Kirk is a totally unexceptional human being. A moral struggle that's happening on the higher dimension, right? Which is Christ versus the devil. Who does Charlie Kirk serve? You know, is he really a Christian? Is he really Christ-like when he supports foreign wars and Israel and all this? Look at the people he's taking money from. You know, so the guy's a fake Christian. The guy's not a patriot. He hates our country. He's un-American. Let's focus all our firepower on Charlie Kirk. Why are we doing this? It's because Charlie Kirk is a fake patriot, a fake Christian, and he hates his people. He's anti-white. This is our angle.
What?
Nick Fuentes.
Oh my God, that's insane. Oh my God.
Despised Charlie Kirk. And for good reason, because Charlie Kirk actually opposed Nick's evil program. Here's what Charlie Kirk had to say about Nick Fuentes' agenda.
But if you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character. Yes.
So, can you show me, let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it. What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean? What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian. It has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line.
I actually have chills right now. I really miss Charlie Kirk.
I don't platform trolls. And I don't platform and I don't discuss people or I don't debate with people that are not good faith actors. And
you debate Maoists and people who champion.
They can keep on yelling at how successful we are and our big events and well over 1,000 employees.
Dude, Charlie Kirk was the dam. He was the dam that was stopping all of this fucking bullshit. This civil war between Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson. He was the dam stopping the river from flooding our nation, man. He really was.
But there's a lot of jealousy out there. We build, they complain. We succeed, we win. They blame the Jews.
Damn.
After Charlie's death, TPUSA made Tucker Carlson one of its chief faces. Tucker, of course, spoke at Charlie's memorial, where he implied that hummus-eating nefarious Jews killed Charlie, with no mention of the ideology of the actual alleged murderer, who was, of course, a trans activist gay furry. Tucker Carlson.
Like literally live in reality. Like the fact that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are like pushing these conspiracy theories when the reality is the left is killing us and celebrating killing us is insane. And by the way, for the record, Nick Fuentes doesn't do that. That's just purely a Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson thing. Nick Fuentes agrees that it's a radical leftist. But again, like, it's insane. It's insane that we're dealing with this, man. It's insane that this is what's dividing us.
In fact, has spent more time talking about Jews and Israel since Charlie's death than about the Trans-Tifa ideology that motivated Charlie Kirk's killer. By a long shot, it's not close, which is not a surprise since he seems to spend very little time these days attacking anyone on the left. Well, now
Also
Tucker Carlson has seen fit to launder Nick Fuentes, the person who hated Charlie most and who wished him destruction. That's not an act of friendship, it's an act of sick evil. And then, of course, there's Tucker Carlson's relationship with the vice president. Certainly, Vice President Vance has been quite generous with Tucker Carlson. That loyalty was not reciprocated last week, to say the least. Here, for example, is what Nick Fuentes has said about J.D. Vance's wife, Usha.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Andrew Tate and Bronze Age pervert and all these people, for years, all they talk about is going to the gym, being a vitalist, fighting the Matrix, India smells bad, all this kind of shit. And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a Jeet who named his son Vivek, who was mentored by a Jewish neocon and a gay fed, Peter Thiel.
Bro, dude. Oh, my God. I like JD Vance. I really like JD Vance, actually. I think JD Vance has the correct stance on, like, a lot of these issues. Like, I just covered JD Vance's speech at Turning Point. JD Vance is a middle-of-the-road guy. He's not radical pro-Israel. He's not radical anti-Israel. He recognizes that Israel is a foreign nation that is an ally that we, you know, align with on different areas, like when it comes to weapon testing and technological advancements and intelligence. And it is also a separate nation. It is not ours. And he's just completely right. He's right. Now, I'm gonna say this. I know a lot of people are gonna like hate me for this because I know like the race mixing thing is like a really hot topic these days, and people are super anti-race mixing. The Bible has 613 commandments. Race mixing is not one of them. It's not. So, you know, come to me after you fulfill the rest of God's commandments, and then we could discuss other extra alternatives. That's always been my perspective. It really has. All right. In my opinion, when you marry someone, you should marry someone with the same ideology that you have, to the number one most extent. And also, Nick Fuentes, your dad is Mexican.
This guy has a non-white wife and a kid named Vivek. This guy is going to be a defender of white identity? I don't think so. This guy's
I mean, this guy wants to stop immigration to a large extent and deport the illegals. I feel like that'll help your white identity. Like, it's crazy.
To defend American identity?
You slammed it. He's a Christian that preaches Christian values, part of America, a Christian country. Like, I don't, like, yeah, he actually does feel like he's, kind of white, defending Christianity.
JD Vance for
and
having
defending America.
Wife. Yet Trump's wife is an immigrant who was working here illegally for a time. His son is half foreign, bilingual, and holds dual citizenship. Yet you give him a pass. You're either a hypocrite or just retarded.
She's white, dude. She's white. If we had millions of Slovenian supermodels immigrating to America, I don't think we'd have a big problem.
True. Okay, listen, every once in a while, bro just kind of spits facts. It's not the Slovenian supermodels that are importing drugs and sex trafficking children. He's not fully wrong.
Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes and did not ask him a single question about any of this. He just brought him on to launder his ugly ideas and make him more popular. That doesn't seem quite like the act of a friend. Which, finally, brings us to the Heritage Foundation. Now, I have a long and admiring relationship with the Heritage Foundation. One of the very first outlets to pick up my syndicated column when I was 17 years old, 24 years ago, was townhall.com, then a property of the Heritage Foundation. I know most of the leadership very well, and I have for decades. I know Kevin Roberts, and I like him, and I'm grateful for his contributions to the conservative movement. If you're a regular watcher of this show, you can check the interview I did with Kevin on the release of his book just last December. Which is why what Kevin Roberts did last week is tragic and awful. He put out a statement that Heritage Foundation didn't just stand by Tucker Carlson. Kevin instead said openly and repeatedly that Tucker Carlson can do nothing, ever, that will sever his relationship with the conservative movement. He said that after and in defense of Tucker's glossing of Hitler defender Nick Fuentes. And he added,
I mean, the way I see it personally is a lot of people just kind of want some sort of alliance on the right to crush the left, and they'll take whoever they can get. I really just think that's kind of the perspective that a lot of these people have.
That only members of the globalist class, direct quote, a venomous coalition, direct quote, subject to the dictates of someone else's agenda, direct quote, oppose Heritage's ongoing relationship with Tucker Carlson, which means that according to Kevin Roberts, apparently, anyone opposing the ongoing mainstreaming of Tucker Carlson is acting on behalf of a foreign power. Kevin's statement is a betrayal of the Heritage Foundation's history and principles, which is presumably why both Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes loved it. And that's a tragedy, because America needs a robust conservative organization based on principle and ideas, not personal loyalty to bad actors like Tucker Carlson. We need strong leaders in the conservative movement willing to speak out against the moral rot that threatens our future. I hope Kevin Roberts and Heritage show us that they can still be those leaders. But if not, we'll have to look elsewhere. So, why is all of this happening? Because, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is being eaten by its radicals. No. Many in the political class are too cowardly to stand up. Apparently, they're willing to play footsie with Groypers and hug Tucker Carlson out of fear of somehow losing support. They've been bamboozled by the lies of the X algorithm and the TikTok metrics. The left followed its radicals to electoral hell. Apparently, many on the right wish to do the same.
I mean, to be fair, there is definitely a radical side to the right and the left. There absolutely is. That is just a direct and utter fact.
Morality, then, for just a moment. Let's be pragmatic.
See, I'm just scared that we're going to divide the right so much through this retard civil war, and then, you're just going to get some Zoran Mamdani on the left win the next election in America and become the president. And I don't even see that is like such a far not realistic perspective. The right keeps fighting with themselves, and the Groypers, they'll refuse to vote for J.D. Vance because he married an Indian. All right, let's say, as a hypothetical, and they'll have this giant Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro civil war. The right gets divided as fuck, and then Zoran Mamdani, AOC, Rashida Tlaib becomes the next president of the United States. And that's it. That's the end of the American project. We survived. Biden will be fine. No. Biden was center left. These guys are radical left. We're not even close. Biden left the border open for people to walk in. These people will import an underclass to society to directly outvote us. I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand the difference. Biden was center left. Radical center left, perhaps, but center left. A Zoran Mamdani would end America. It would be the end of America. It would. The project would be over. So, I feel like there's a greater threat here, There really is a greater threat, and we're not willing to even talk about it.
Is the thing. Americans hate Nick Fuentes.
It's important to call out your radicals? Of course it's important to call out your radicals. But this is the only discussion in America, okay? You could make a video criticizing Nick Fuentes or whatever, but simultaneously focus all of your firepower on the fact that there are these trans gay furries that are killing us, all right, as a hypothetical. But that's really not at all what we're actually watching here. That's not what's going on. The discussion is the Civil War. It is the retard on retard violence. To quote Michael Knowles, let me see if I can find it. I pulled this up earlier. To quote Michael Knowles, tomorrow, conservatives have the opportunity to stop a Muslim communist in New York, elect a Republican in New Jersey, and end the political career of a would-be attorney general who wants to murder us and our children in Virginia, yet no one's talking about it. He's right, because everyone's talking about this. The drama's too juicy.
This is philosophy. They think it's trash. Republicans, by the polling, think it's trash. Independents think it's trash. Democrats think it's trash. And here's the other thing. Americans hate Tucker Carlson's laundered anti-Americanism. Republicans think it's trash.
Not everybody. The Islamists on the left, like Cenk Uygur, support it. That's not true.
Independents.
And also, for the record, mass amounts of people. The numbers don't lie. Ben Shapiro is going to make believe that it's a vocal minority. It's not such a minority. You look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson are wildly popular. In fact, they're way more popular than Ben Shapiro. And it's not even close. So that's kind of a bad take. It's like saying that no one supports the radical leftists like Zoran Mamdani, and that dude, elections tomorrow, but that dude might be the mayor of New York City tomorrow, and that dude wants to abolish prisons, import Muslims, and enact Sharia law and communism.
Think it's trash? Democrats think it's trash. Americans are not pro-segregation, pro-rape, anti-woman, pro-child marriage, anti-black, anti-Jew, anti-Indian, anti-Latino, anti-Constitution, pro-Hitler nutjobs like Nick Fuentes. And Americans are not pro-Putin, pro-Iran, pro-China, pro-Venezuela, pro-Hamas, pro-Fuentes, pro-Tate idiots like Tucker Carlson. They hate this vile garbage. If Republicans decide to cower before the likes of neo-Nazis and their propagandizers, they deserve to lose. And they will lose. Neo-Nazis and their propagandizers are not Republicans. They are not America First. They are not MAGA. They sure as hell aren't conservative. These people aren't to my right. They are not attached in any way to the fundamental principles of conservatism. And these people have already declared themselves to be my enemies. I'd be a fool not to take them seriously.
To be fair, the amount of death threats Ben Shapiro gets over this kind of thing is insane. It really is. But at the same time, someone showed up to Nick Fuentes' house to try and kill him. And that is infinitely worse than anything that happened to Ben Shapiro. And fully condemned. 1,000%. This stuff is, it's horrible, man. It's really horrible.
Way, they will hollow out the Republican Party, lead it to electoral catastrophe, and empty it and the country of any semblance of decency in the process. My answer is no. No to the Groypers. No to their publicists like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to anti-Americanism. No. This is our country. This is our party. And this is our conservative movement. And I will not stand by while it is handed over to those who betray the most fundamental principles I have spent my entire life defending and advocating. That is a path to defeat and a path to moral oblivion. I reject it because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country.
I don't know, man. What a wild ride. Ultimately, I think it was a pretty good video to get his point across, but simultaneously, obviously, he's not addressing any of the criticisms that, Nick and company have about him. That, but for example, one thing that I have to say about Ben Shapiro that I actually really do respect, and this I really do respect about Ben Shapiro, for the record, if you look at the videos that he's been posting, all right? If you look at all the full shows, the socialist takeover, the Democratic Party, how the left created the radical right, Generation Zoran, Mamdani collapses in polls, Mamdani's 9/11 insanity. Like, he is directly talking about the radical leftists a lot. And I'll be real, Tucker Carlson isn't. Like, 16 hours ago, he interviewed a radical leftist because he's a radical leftist that hates Jews. Do you understand how, insane that is? I don't know, man. I think it's wild. I think it's a wild ride. It really is. Ultimately, this is the circle of retards. I agree with the Matt Walsh perspective. I agree with the Matt Walsh and J.D. Vance perspective that we have a very short window of time where we control Congress and the White House, and we have the power to push our agenda forward. We're going to waste this window fighting with each other. We're going to squander everything. I'm furious, honestly. And that, I think, is a much more realistic perspective to have. The radicals on all the sides need to chill the fuck out, and you have greater enemies. See, let me give you an example, all right? I think one of the number one most important moral failings in America today is the fact that there are 1 million abortions a year. 1 million abortions a year in America. 1 million. Okay? That is a modern Holocaust. 1 million babies are murdered every year in America. And you know who agrees with this? Tucker Carlson agrees it's murder. Nick Fuentes agrees it's murder. Ben Shapiro agrees it's murder. They all agree it's murder. They all agree that 1 million babies are being murdered in America every year. Yet they feel the need to fight with each other over nebulous shadow Jew control of the government cringe. All right? That's how you know this shit's insane. Focus on in my opinion, you got to focus on the real stuff. And this is literally just going to divide things for no reason. And if this divides the right to the point that we end up with the Zoran Mamdani president, it's the end of the American project. It is. They will import an underclass into society that will outvote us in every single election moving forward forever. And they will celebrate our murders as that happens. All right? I'll be real. All these guys are Israel first. Tucker Carlson is Israel first. Ben Shapiro is Israel first, and Nick Fuentes is Israel first. We all need to focus on America. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.